I grew up in Peoria on the corner of Armstrong and Ellis, and my parents still live there. And just imagine growing up in a house where there are 10 little girls and one boy. I think my mom and dad are saints. Their halos never tilted to the right or to the left, because it was pretty wild around there. So I was daughter number 5, child number 6, the oldest of the youngest of the oldest. I was a very fat baby. Mom and Dad started calling me Cookie when I was pretty little. And I have a feeling that God had a lot to do with that little name that he gave me, because when I go into kids' rooms to sing and say, "Hi, my name's Cookie, would you like to hear a song?" That's better than going in and telling them what my real name is.
Let the children come to me. Let them see my face. Let me place my hands on them. Let them hear my voice. Fix my word upon their hearts, the word that gives new life. Let the children come to me. I will make their burden light.
I started singing in 6th grade, learned a few guitar chords, played at church, and sang in high school, wrote a little song in high school for my friends, and came to work for OSF St. Francis in 1975. I was hired to work in rehabilitation with adults who had spinal cord and head injuries, and I would spend time doing projects with them, and every once in a while I would bring my guitar to work and I'd sing for those patients. And when they were in therapy, I would sing to adults. And in 1976, I experienced my first miracle, but I didn't realize it was a miracle until 1986.
St. Francis, 1 Union 61. We're currently inbound to your facility from the scene of a bicycle auto accident with an approximate 9-year-old male patient unknown.
I went to sing to a little boy that was in a coma, and his name was Robert Hayes.
I know this girl, I think it was Cookie, I believe, and they started having her come over and playing the guitar from Forest Park, and she played Puff the Magic Dragon.
And so I played the song for him, and when I finished, she told me that Robert used to go to the stereo in their living room, and he'd pick up the needle on the Peter, Paul, and Mary album, and he'd put it back on Puff the Magic Dragon. And then when the song was over, he'd go over, pick up the needle, and put it back on Puff the Magic Dragon. And so she asked me to sing it one more time.
They put a baby rattler in Robert's hand, and they never, she started singing, and everybody was there, and all at once Robert took the baby rattler and shook it.
Everybody was jumping with joy when he come out of it, and they knew that he could feel and understand different things. They didn't have too much hope really for a long while.
So 10 years later, for the first Children's Miracle Network broadcast, we had an interview with Robert's parents. Robert became one of the first miracle kids for Children's Miracle Network in 1986, and then he was 19 years old. And that's when I realized that I was part of what brought him back to reality. And the impact of that, I don't think it's ever really left my heart.
I believe I first met Cookie during one of my neonatal intensive care unit rotations when she would come up and sing to the premature infants in the NICU.
Some of them, there would be a response, like you could tell that they would, if they were crying, they would settle down when she was singing. A lot of times I think upstairs it meant more to the parents than it did, because these were preemies that in a lot of ways couldn't respond to her, but the parents enjoyed it.
And I was immediately impressed with her obvious love for the children and her ability to relieve the anxiety of families and patients who are in the hospital.
And she comes here a lot and just goes room to room, meets the patients. A lot of times we have special requests for her, people that know her. If there's a chronic kid that comes in, somebody that's been here several times before, Cookie's their best friend. I mean, the minute they get here, that's the first thing they do is ask for her. Is she here in the hospital, or can you call her?
Cookie in herself is kind of like a doctor. She doesn't prescribe medicine, and she doesn't give shots, and she's not the bad guy. Like, most of the time, you know, make the nurses out to be the bad guy. The doctor's prescribing all this stuff, and he's, you know, say, start this IV, give this shot here, draw this blood here. And the nurses always come in, and they're the ones who get the big grudge on it. Well, Cookie prescribes her own medicine and song, and she'll just come up and sing whatever.
Well, she interacts with the families really well. She takes a genuine interest in alleviating their anxiety and making them feel better and kind of get their mind off of things for a brief period of time. And of course, through her music, she reaches out to people and can put a smile on children's faces and just make the whole hospital experience a more positive one for the hospitalized kids and for their families too.
I'll get you some french fries, okay? Oh, baby, don't pull my leg, my achy, breaky leg. It doesn't feel good laying in this bed.
She just has a very calming influence on everyone in her surroundings, and it's actually been proven in the medical literature that music really does have a therapeutic role. It improves patients' vital signs, it decreases their reliance on pain medications, and it improves their mood. And certainly on the general pediatric floors, you can see that a little more overtly, but even in intensive care units, you can see patients calming down, being in less pain, their vital signs normalizing when she comes around. And of course, it lifts the mood of the staff as well. We always love to see Cookie, because we can kind of hear her in the background, or we can just stand there and watch her play for a while, and it uplifts our mood too.
Oh man, there's another one too. Isn't that the best? How many years have you been hanging around with this thing?
7.
Do you ever wash it? It smells really good with your spit on it, doesn't it? Woo!
It's amazing to me how much time she donates. I mean, she has a lot of work that she does outside the hospital too. I mean, you know, she's asked to go to a lot of different places. It's amazing to me how much time she does spend, you know, here on the peds floor, because she goes to ICU and neonatal and everywhere. But she always finds that time. It doesn't matter how busy she is doing something else, you know, she always finds the time to get down here, even if it's just for a few minutes or just for a special request or whatever. She always gets here. You can always count on her. She's always up.
We were looking forward to her. We were hoping we would get to see her, and she really made our day when she came. She really helped the kids kind of focus on something besides their
I can't believe how much
what's hurting them.
In that cast.
She just kind of made you feel at
Who is
ease, and you
this?
felt like you knew her for a long time. But she really has a place in the hospital here, I think.
Cheer 'em up.
Barney.
When I sing to the kids, I want them to know that they are the only kid in the whole world. So this little boy was in the arms of a child life specialist. His head was on her shoulder, and so he was right here. And I wanted him to see that he was like the #1 kid in the world. So I leaned over to him like this, and I just went, "Could you tell me, please, what flavor is your thumb?" And I mean, he was sucking his thumb like crazy. So then I went, "Is it cherry, is it chocolate?" And Cindy, who was holding him, who said, hey, is it plum? And it was like, oh my gosh, this is a Cookie song. Waiting to happen right now, right here. And it did. Did you suck your thumb? Admit it. Go ahead. Do you suck your thumb? Did you? Could you tell me, please, what flavor is your thumb? Is it cherry? Is it chocolate? Is it plum? You remind me of the days when I was 3, when my mom would smile and say these words to me. You could tell me if you pulled it out of there. Why just one thumb when you know you've got a pair? Is it stuck behind your tooth? Did you glue it to the roof? Your thumb is one thing you don't have to share. Could you tell me, please, what flavor is your thumb? Is it cherry? Is it chocolate? Is it plum? You remind me of the days when I was 4, when my mom would smile and say, I love you more. Should I reminisce and take a taste of mine? If it's chocolate, I'm sure it will taste fine. We'll make our thumbs disappear. Snuggle with me here, remember 10 minus 1 equals 9. Could you tell me, please, what flavor is your thumb? Is it cherry? Is it chocolate? Is it plum? You remind me of the days when I was 5, and I knew that dreadful day would soon arrive. So goodbye to my thumb, I fondly bid. I'm all grown up now and I admit I did. There's a simple purity to a child's security. Enjoy your thumb when you're a little kid. There's a simple purity to a child's security. Enjoy your thumb when you're a little kid. How's that?
When she's singing, to most kids in here, they're going through a very difficult time, and she's sitting there watching them cry and watching them suffer, yet somehow she holds those emotions inside and puts her feelings aside and puts their feelings first and does everything she can to make them feel comfortable and be able to deal with the situation.
Cookie is involved whenever we have a child that would be terminal or seriously ill. She's really involved with those kids, and just kind of, she makes it so much easier for everybody in the family.
We basically lived in the hospital. Joshua had congenital CMV, after effects cerebral palsy, seizure disorder, chronic asthma. He had everything, so therefore we lived in the hospital basically. It was like an emotional roller coaster for me on a continual basis. But I felt good because Cookie would come in and she would sit and really listen to me, and like a friend, and I didn't even know this woman. She was just a part of the hospital. But she would sit and listen to me, and by the time I had got done talking to her, I felt so safe and so secure, like somebody really cared about our lives. She became a friend of mine. She was an emotional support that is so vital to the parents of children who are ill in this hospital. I look forward to every day seeing her. When I heard her come down the hall, I'd say, oh, Joshua, Cookie's coming. And he'd just squeal and get so happy. And the moment she walked in the room, all eyes were on her. You know, what are you going to sing this time, Cookie? You know, Joshua just, I mean, we just loved her so much for what she did for us while we were here. Even since my son has passed away, he passed away in 1995, she has followed through in that friendship. Every time I call, she's there. And she is a busy woman, but she will always answer my calls. She still greets me with a hug. She still sits and cries with me over my child's death, which means more to me than anything in the world. I feel that we were truly blessed when we met her, and she was a gift from God to us. And what she has been able to show us about our children is amazing. I've never had another individual in life be able to show me the things she's shown me about God's love through my child.
Katie and Luke were two children that They pretty much took a piece of my heart with them when they died. Katie would not talk to me, but when I came into the room, she would always lean over and whisper to her mom what song she wanted me to sing. And I was always so thankful that I could sing what she wanted to hear. Because there's nothing sweeter than being able to satisfy a patient that is little and under the covers in a bed at Children's Hospital. But Luke, I think I was in love with Luke. He was so sweet.
I think he was infatuated with Cookie. She held a very special place in his heart. She would come in and she would sit on his bed and sing, and he would say to dance and everything, because he most time was in bed and couldn't himself and everything, and he would really enjoy it when she'd come in and sing. And when she would just walk in, you would look at their faces and they would just light up a little bit. They may be very sick, but they would just come in and have a little extra spark there when she would come in. One of the things that Cookie offered for our family was that my children had to undergo very difficult procedures, and Cookie's presence made those procedures that were very difficult very, very tolerable. She was a very good distraction, and she provided a lot of comfort. When they would see her, they may be very anxious or upset, and they would calm down, where the nurses and the technicians could then get them to cooperate and get through the procedure much easier. It's an invaluable position to have at a hospital, and you really appreciate it when you have gone someplace that doesn't have that. You can compare the impact that it has.
So Katie and Luke had an illness that unfortunately took their lives at a very, very young age. They died within 6 months of each other, and it was something that was very, very difficult for me to understand. I remember the day that Luke died when his mom and dad called me. I was on my back porch, and I was weeping pretty much uncontrollably and nonstop because my heart was so broken, not only over the loss of Luke, but thinking about his parents and what they had to go through just dealing with that loss. Luke was, when you would look at him, it was just like, this little boy has wings, and I am in his presence. And that's a really sweet way to describe reality with that child, because that's what he was like. He was so perfect, and I'm sure that's why God wanted him in heaven.
A lot of times with our kids that don't get better and go home, the ones that do pass away, there's rarely an occasion that they don't call Cookie and ask her to sing at the services, which is something I've never understood how she could possibly do it, but she does. I mean, I've been to several of the funerals and where she sings, and it's just amazing.
It's my hope that I will help them get to that place with some joy, by bringing them some happiness, bringing some peace into their life, and taking them away from the hospital environment, even if it's only for 5 minutes a day. That makes every hour worth being here, even at the saddest times. So if I sing a child through her death or through his death, I know that I've done something that I just feel really blessed to be able to participate in a situation like that, because I know that it makes it, it just brings some peace to that child's life. And sometimes it's some peace to that child's death.
In terms of Cookie, I'm always amazed at her abilities. Because she does get emotionally, as she develops a relationship with all these young children, and the outcome is not always a success if you measure death as not being a success. And to be able to come in and do a funeral service and end up being a support to families, that is an amazing ability for someone to have. And when I watched her walk up to the front of the church and to sing, I was completely amazed at the strength that she had to be able to do that. And not only to do it to our family, but she has done this for numerous families, and it's just a gift. It's an amazing woman.
Her music and her love just flourishes through, you know, children everywhere and adults, but really the children. The children are where it's at with Cookie.
Is it time for lunch yet? This was my crisis song. Every crisis ends up to be a miracle, though, somehow. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, honey.
Here's a little song I'd like to sing for you. The words are sweet, the words hold true, 'cause there are days that come along that'll make you feel blue. If you listen very closely, there's a lesson here for you. I count my cookies, not my crumbs. I don't count sheep, I count my miracles. I count my blessings, not my burdens. And when life hands me a lemon, then I make some lemonade. 'Cause only I can make me happy. Only I can make me smile. And only I can tie my shoes so I can walk one more mile. Count your friends, not your foes. And when a baby's born, count his fingers and his toes. That's a blessing, what a wonder. So if life hands you a lemon, you can make some lemonade. 'Cause only you can make you happy. Only you can make you smile. And only you can tie your shoes so you can walk one more mile. Count your cookies, not the crumbs. Don't count sheep. Count your miracles, count your blessings, not your burdens. When life hands you a lemon, you can make some lemonade. 'Cause only God will make you happy. He's the one that makes you smile. And he's the one to help you tie your shoes so you can walk one more mile. Count your cookies, count your blessings, count your miracles. Don't count sheep. Now go to sleep.
Turn off the cameras, people.
The Sisters of the Third Order of St. Francis, bless their hearts, paid for me to do all my recording in the studio so that the proceeds from my album, all that money is used to buy equipment for Children's Hospital of Illinois at OSF St. Francis Medical Center. Every single dime is used to buy equipment for our pediatric units, which is very needed. We have 127 beds in our hospital. And the most important thing for us is that that child is treated like he or she is the only child that exists. And so I feel very privileged, very honored to be able to participate in such a good cause.
I think she represents what's best about the Children's Hospital. She's the manifestation of caring and concern and forming close personal bonds that as physicians we would hope that we could accomplish, but really can't sometimes. And she connects with people, and she makes this what can be a very stressful, sometimes negative experience, being hospitalized, into a more positive one. And I think that human emotion of reaching out to someone with music is perhaps her strongest gift.
Time when I come into work in the morning, and the days when I don't have anything on my calendar, when I'm not out in the community singing for this and singing for that, and I pick up my guitar, and I walk out that door and down the hall, and I just go from room to room to room, from child to child, with intermingling with their parents, with the staff at Children's Hospital, with the child, with the siblings, who's ever there. Those are my best days, when all I do is just sing. Days like this, on the other hand, in front of the cameras and everything, now Ron, now.
For just a minute that you're not very old.